Hello, Stroker John here. Today we're going to talk about main bearing support girdles. This is a main bearing support girdle here, and this is a Ford Cleveland 351 block. And this block here has been bored, but it hasn't been line bored. It was decided later on that we'd put a support girdle on this. So what I need to do is measure and make sure everything fits correctly. So the first thing we're going to do is measure the main tunnels to make sure they're good on this block, to check it with the bolts on, and then we're going to put the support girdle on. Because the support girdle uses studs rather than bolts, it pulls on the block a little bit differently, so it may distort the bore diameter, especially on the cross measurement, a little bit differently than a regular bolt will. So the first thing I want to do is measure the mains, see how they look. They won't be perfectly round, they never are, but I want to make sure they're in spec. And then I'll install the studs, put the support girdle on, and pull it all down and measure it. Now the purpose of the support girdle is to make the bottom end both stronger and to support the main caps. Now Fords use 2 bolts, as do Chevrolets and so many other motors, but Chevrolet very often puts a 4th bolt in here, so you have the 2 and then 2 out here, what they call a 4-bolt main. Now the purpose of the extra bolts is not to hold the crankshaft in. The crankshaft's not going to come out, the caps are not going to break unless under very severe load. The purpose of having extra bolts is to stop the caps from moving around. The caps are registered in the block. There's a cutout in here. You can see here it cuts out and it locates in the fitting, which is a tight fit, to stop the caps from moving. But under severe loads, the caps want to vibrate and wriggle around. It's what they call main bearing cap walk. And the idea of putting extra bolts in there is to have more clamping pressure to stop the cap from moving. When we put the studs in with the support girdle, we have all 10 bolts sharing energy or synergy to hold all the caps in place. So the main purpose of the main bearing support girdle is to stop the caps from moving. It also adds some rigidity to the bottom of the block because you're tying it all together and it sort of holds the block in place. So as I said, the first thing we're going to do is measure the main bores. So what we do is we take our dial bore gauge, which I've already set up for the measurement. Where did I put it? Over here. And I've checked this with a micrometer in the vise to set the loading on the bottom portion of the gauge here. So the first thing we do is put the gauge in place and take a measurement. Now there are holes for the oil galleys in here. That's right on 0. I'm going to go and get my glasses because I'm an old man. And as Don Gartlitz once said, the eyesight is the first to go. And so I gotta wear glasses. Now when we go across the block, you've got to be careful not to drop the gauge into the bearing tangs which locate the bearings. Okay, so half a thousandths off of the nominal. As I said, the trick is to not drop it in the bearing tanks. And that's right on 0 there. Maybe a quarter. So about half a thousandths. On 0. Half. Half once again. A little bit on the big side. When we put the main bearing support girdle on, we'll probably get a little different reading, so I'm not too concerned about it right now. I want to see how it comes out, whether it moves anything or not. 0. Half. So half that way. 0. For the sake of time, I'm going to turn the camera off and take the rest of the measurements, and then we'll put the girdle on it.